Right, I already played some of this yesterday, and it was stable. The only thing that I'm looking at today is the complaints about blurriness. Like, I'm wondering, why is the game actually blurry? Because I have AA off, which should make the game run a little closer to not blurry, unless there's something else going on. So I'm going to turn this back on, because that was actually on by default. We don't need any of that shit. We'll leave that exactly as it is right now. And see if all that FSR stuff actually makes it a little sharper.
Классно в тебе виходить.
Well, the zooming is backwards. I'm zooming in by scrolling backwards instead of forward. Oops. What? No! Is this underneath me or something? Oh well. No! All the anomaly stuff works in this game. In Stalker 2, it's kind of cut and dry, but in this one, not so much. Not sure how to avoid it. It's like it just moves.
So, marked one, regarding Strelec. A stalker by the name of Fox is coming back from a raid. Looks like he had a rough time and needs help. He came back with some type of critters all over him. He says he won't last long. He just might know something about Strelec. You gotta go see him right now. Here are his coordinates.
So, unless I'm mistaken here, it looks like you have to have the FSR option on to make the game artificially sharper. Because if you don't have that shit on, the game looks like it's just blurry as fuck. Nope, run! There's the guy that I stabbed, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the dude that I shanked. The traitor guy or whatever. Am I heavy or something? I might be. I mean, I'm carrying enough shit. What the fuck was that? definitely caring too much.
Допоможіть хтось! Допоможіть! Допоможіть!
The hell? Wait, someone's shooting at us. Oh shit.
Знаєш, Фрай, зараз ти все збурився, ти понял? Що ти мене кругянку вмієш?
Що ж то за випадувач такий? Правду про нього кажуть чи брешуть?
I'm gonna be a overweight little dude. Kind of feel like I should... Yeah, I'm too fucking heavy now. I've gotten greedy. I'm a little way too overweight. What can I get rid of? Wait, is this actually a viable replacement? No, same ammo.
Ствол
Where's the
уметь.
other one?
Опусти ствол.
Well, since I can't carry all that shit, there is an objective here, however. We'll see. So originally was just to see the sharpness situation, but it looks like just enabling the FSR thing and all that's good enough. You're just using the FSR for the sharpness thing, so you'll want to keep it at native, I guess, but... Is the dude I'm looking for upstairs? What? I forgot that this game comes from a time when loading screens were still a thing, and you could get a relatively large open world area, but for the most part there was always going to be eventually one loading area. Still not as bad as a Elder Scrolls game where you have to load every fucking 5 minutes. But let's put a waypoint. Where is it? No planting waypoint, so it looks like I'm just going for a long ass walk down this way and hoping nothing gets in my way with my, you know, carry weight being what the fuck it is. Because my stamina slowly dropping, so I have to stop every few minutes and then recover and then go back. seems like the popular thing is to kind of hate on the on Stalker 2 and shit, but each one of these games has their own like feel to them. Stalker 2 has a distinct feel to it because you don't really have a lot of like loading areas at all, and there feels like there's not as much variety for weapons so far, at least in Stalker 2 from what I saw. Like in this game, I already found a second kind of pistol, but it doesn't look like a USP like in Stalker 2. Because in Stalker 2, they specifically have a gun that literally looks like a USP tactical. But I can't complain too much because this was a free upgrade for anyone who wants to play it on a modern computer without having to deal with certain startup quirks. Like the fact that the original games don't support borderless windowed, so like if I alt-tab right now, the game will actually let me alt-tab without any hassle. Like I don't have to worry about minimizing anything or any of that shit. But I've done this on the original games, and it was not as nice. It would usually cause the screens to go black for a second, you know. Where's that dude running off to? I guess there's another difference. In Stalker 2, you don't really see individuals out there. It seems like there's always a group of AI that I see, and they don't have like much going on. They're not like rushing somewhere because they're, you know, being chased by something or anything like that. So the world feels like it's a little bit more dead. Because there's NPCs, but they're not reacting the way that a player would or anything like that.
Класно в тебе. Якось не чіпляє твоя.
One thing that I saw was people claiming that this game ran like shit, and right now my frame rate is locked at around 60. However, it's kind of an unfair assessment here for me to do a comparison like that because I don't know what the hell the system specs are that people are using when they're complaining about the game's performance. Because so far, I don't know if it's just that they're rocking AMD cards that are like mid-spec or low or whatever. But I know that this game, at least this enhanced edition, did get the global illumination stuff added to it, so it did get overhauled to actually run DX12 stuff. So like if I go to the settings real quick, go to advanced, SSGI. It would help if people who actually complained about game performance actually followed the rule of that, you know, from a long time ago. So, it's not my place to get too involved in that shit, but suffice to say, if you're complaining about a game running like shit on you, Like, it just always has been this way. If you have a performance issue with a game or an application or whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter what it is, you don't just say, I have a problem with this application. You're always supposed to detail what the fuck computer you're rocking. The reason why it's important, especially right now, is if you have a 13th or 14th gen Intel CPU, you may have a problem where your CPU runs some things perfectly fine, but then other things just genuinely run like shit for you. Because I had a 13900K, and I currently have in another system a 14900K. And I'm pretty sure the cooler on those things is acting up. Maybe it's burned out or some shit, because the CPUs aren't exactly stable. Like, none of them were stable. The 14900K was stable when I first got it, but after like 3 or 4 months it started acting goofy and shit, so I'm pretty sure that cooler might be, you know, not enough. Because the only option to fix that problem was literally to lock everything down. So I might have to assess that at some point. But unfortunately, those CPUs cause problems with some things. Like, it was bad for me at one point. Like, I think before I got the 9950X3D, the problem that I had was games would occasionally crash, or they would, like, I've had a few blue screens and shit like that. I had OS corruption, so OS files. Like, if I did SFC scan now, you'd run command prompt as admin and do that. What I would end up getting was, like, almost weekly, I would end up being able to verify that there were files that were corrupted, and this is running memory at SPD speed, so I wasn't even using my XMP profiles or anything like that. There's just stock CPU with the motherboard running everything at Intel safe defaults. It was still doing that shit. And I think when I tried playing Stalker 2, it ran fine because it wasn't taxing the CPU that much. But I did have a few issues where things just run a little weird, and I'd had some audio bugs because the problem was, like, if you have your CPUs not 100% stable, like, things are just not working right, you can end up, like, especially if you're using a USB interface, you'll end up with these timing issues with USB. And what I was having was, like, errors with the driver and shit like that, so I'd occasionally get my, like, get weird scratchy sounds from audio files and shit like that, like things I would be playing, I'd suddenly hear like static. Or if I was playing, like, an example, if I was playing a song through Apple Music, you know, through Windows, the Windows app, and I had any quality above the standard, like if I had it set to high-res audio type shit or whatever the fuck, you know, where it's CD quality or higher, it would actually cause my audio to go glitchy as shit. Like, it would make the songs just go fucking crazy. I'd get like 5-second intermittent noise out of, like, out of nowhere, just be like song, like it'd start getting crazy. Anyway, that aside, I haven't, like, so the sharpness thing seems to just turn on FSR and then crank up the sharpness on that, but that's more like a band-aid fix. I'm still wondering why the hell the game is actually kind of blurry when you don't have the FSR sharpening on. Like, we just turn all that shit off. Why is the game actually blurry? It's like the bloom effect from 2005 all over again, where you would turn on bloom and everything looks like people just put on the fucking beauty filter. And as for the performance, I don't know if it's a CPU type issue. It depends on the build, but once again, people they're not necessarily reporting what their computers are running, and that's detrimental to yourself and to other people that are on Steam forums or YouTube videos or anywhere else. So, do yourself a favor. If you're going to report problems of performance-related issues and shit like that, make a point to actually bring up your actual system specs. And I would detail that shit. Mention memory. Mention any overclocks that might be running, if you did anything manually, if you did any kind of automatic settings or any of that shit. If you're using an Intel CPU, AMD CPU, specific model and all that shit, like, you gotta be thorough with some of this shit. You don't have to go as far as pulling out a DXDiag file and just throwing someone every fucking thing, but, you know, the surface level specs. You don't need to give every single thing other than your driver and your actual main system specs. That's just my 2 cents on that, because, like, as I said, I had problems before with the games in general, and switching to the 9950X3D, or any of the, like, even I think the newer Intel CPUs as well, not the Raptor Lake shit, but the newer ones. I forget what they're called, but those supposedly don't have this problem either for performing like shit in games. So if it's a CPU related issue, it might be worth telling people what the fuck you're rocking, because if it's not a newer, if it's not an AMD CPU, or the latest Intel CPU and you're rocking a 13th or 14th gen and you're having problems, then you might already know what the hell the problem is, you just haven't admitted it yet. That's just my 2 cents on this shit. I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I mean, I work on servers all day and shit like that. Like, that's kind of what I do for a living at the moment. But that's not the... Like, I've never ran a TechTube YouTube channel. I don't have, like, a background doing hardware reviews or any of that shit. I'm just saying, like, based on life experience of working with computers my entire life, just, you know, do yourself a favor of actually relaying what the fuck you're working with, and don't just say the bitch thing that people do, like a bitch, but I mean bitching. Don't just whine about shit. Don't just say this, it doesn't work right. Actually detail what doesn't work right. If there's specific scenarios that you have to do, your system specs on shit. Like, I've already said this, but I'm reiterating it because a lot of people seem to just ignore this shit. And I've seen that on the Steam forums where people just keep running along and just keep whining about shit until someone asks them, what's your system specs? And they'll say, it doesn't matter what computer I put it on. Then you'll find out that they're rocking the same fucking system all over the house. Like, they got 2 computers with the exact same CPU and shit like that, you know? I don't know. I can kind of ramble about that one because it's one of the things that's annoying when you try to help people genuinely and they kind of make it impossible to help them because they just keep arguing or keep whining. Anyway, that's that. So, as you saw, game ran perfectly fine for me. The blurriness kind of went away when I did the FSR thing, which is not ideal, but it did work. And my 2 cents on the whole performance thing and making sure people are actually double checking their shit, because if you're under warranty, man, if it turns out it's a CPU thing, hit up Intel if it's an Intel CPU. Like, just make sure that you're always covering your bases with that shit, because you don't want to be out of warranty when you actually need it. Like, I'm pretty sure since I got the 1400K, that shit's in a completely new warranty, so I got another 2 or 3 years out of that thing. Because I did give Intel money for that shit. Anyway, having said that, later.